Right, so we're going to make Mr. Paul Hollywood's bread now. I don't normally make it like this. I'm usually very good and get my own flour and yeast and everything else and make it from scratch. But I saw this in the supermarket, I think it was in Sainsbury's, and it was on offer for £1. So I thought, do you know what? Why not give it a go? So it literally comes in a packet inside. All the ingredients are together. There you go. And all you need to do is add water to it. Now he says 350 millilitres of water, but only add about 275 millilitres to begin with to mix it in, and then add the rest of the water gently, depending on whether you need it or not. So the key thing for this is you want it sticky but not too sticky. So here we go. Okay, so that's about right, I think. This is, like I said, is a garlic and herb bread, which will be interesting. So I'm just going to use my hands. I suppose you could use a machine, but I've always used my hands for bread. I think it's quite therapeutic. Now he does say, oh God, it absolutely smells amazing. Oh God, you can really smell the garlic in this. And you know what, I'm curious, I just picked up the noisy toy. Just bear with me. Stop, I've got my hands full of bread. Don't put it in there. Right, I've got my hands full of bread, so I can't really do much with it, so I've just had to kick it into his bed. Hope the cushion of it quietens him down, so I do apologise if he's still going to like it. So let's mix all this up. Now Paul does say you might need all this water, and I think actually I am going to need all of this water. I sound like I know Paul personally. I wish I did. I'd love to spend some time baking with him. I think I could learn a lot. I'm just going to soak up as much of the flour into that before I add more water, but it does need more water. I'm probably moving it out of your eyesight, so I'm really sorry from a photography point of view and a video point of view. I don't know if you notice, I've lifted the dough up a little bit to put the water in so it goes into the bottom, because that's where the flour base is still. Let me just, it is quite sticky still, which it looks good. I just want to make sure I can get all the flour off and a clean bowl really at the end of this. Let's have a look. I'm just going to put a little bit more water, not much. Probably more than I wanted actually, if I'm honest. Let's see. Okay. Right, I'm happy with that. Just get it off my fingers. Okay. With any good bread now, you need to knead it just so that the yeast works. And you might think now I need to flour the board here, and I don't. The best thing to use is actually oil, and you might think, my God, that's going to make a big difference from the point of view of the calorie content. You don't use that much oil, so don't worry about it for the size of the spread's going to be. So let me get some oil. So just pop a bit of oil down here. Obviously make sure it's a clean board first. Okay, and then just rub it with your hands. Okay, over the surface. Take your dough, okay, and sort of put it into a ball, and then to knead it, all you do is just move it from the back, forward, and push down, back, forward, push down, back, forward, push down. Now that needs to be done for 10 minutes, so I'm not expecting you to sit there and watch me knead bread for 10 minutes, so come back. Okay, so I've had a really good workout with this bread. So I'll just give it a bit more the knead for you. There you go. So as I said, what you do is push it towards you, put your thumb in there, push it towards you, get your palm of your hands and push. So forward with your thumbs, I'll show you. So with your thumbs there, can you see? That's a bit, so you put your thumbs like that and push it forward, okay? So forward, and then your palms. Forward, your palms. You forward, your palms. Forward, your palms. So you really get those arm muscles working. Now, I've been doing that for just over 10 minutes now, so I know it's done. Now a good test, if you're not sure whether your bread is ready, is if you can stretch it and it doesn't rip, it's done. So that for me is done. I'm just going to put it back into a bowl. Sorry, a ball, not a bowl. Okay. I haven't added any more extra oil to this board since I started. Okay, so you can see you didn't need very much oil at all. Okay, so I now have a little round ball. You see that? Put it into a bowl. I'm going to cover it and I'm going to leave it for about an hour at room temperature. You don't need to put it anywhere in a proving oven or anything like that, so don't worry about that. I tend to just put some cling film or a clean tea towel over the top and leave it in the kitchen out the way somewhere for an hour, and it should double in size. So I'll show you what it looks like when it comes back. So hopefully you can see the size now, like that. If I compare it to the box, so you can see. Da, da, da. Can you see that? Okay, and we'll come back and we'll compare sizes shortly. Hi, right, so my bread has been proving for actually probably about an hour and a half because we went out, and if you can see here, it is grown significantly. So there you go, massively. So what I need to do now is knock some of the air out of this. So all I'm going to do is tip it onto my work surface there. Okay, now just bear with me while I open the back door for Lola because she's scratching the glass. Definitely not work with children and animals. Okay, so all I'm going to do to knock the air out is just punch it. Okay, just give it a good punch. Okay, fold it over and punch it again. Okay. Okay. This is just to get the air out of it. There we go. Turn it over and give it a good punch. There we go. Okay, and just give a little knead just to make sure then I've got everything out and airwise. You don't need too much, but the Paul might disagree. Okay, so that's my bread. Okay, now I'm going to make it into a ring to go around my cheese. So I'm going to need to make this into 16 balls, and I don't want to scratch my work surface, so I'm just going to put a little chopping board down. And the easiest way to do this is literally just to keep chopping bits out like that. So cut that in half again, that in half again. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I just need to make half again. Oh, I do love the smell of homemade bread, I have to say. Okay, so you'll see I've got a little small one there, and that's some of these are a bit big, so I'm just going to take a little bit off each of those to make it a bit bigger. There you go. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it, okay, and make balls. There we go. So we have now my 16 balls. They don't have to be absolutely perfect. This is going to be a tear and share plate anyway. So I'm just going to move those to one side. Now, because I'm going to use baked camembert in the middle, I've got my little dish here. Let me get it for you. Oh, there we go. So I've got my little ceramic dish here, but I don't want to put this in the oven with the bread because the cheese doesn't take as long as the bread's going to take to cook. So a little trick is to find something that's about the same size. So this little sponge casing, actually, the dish fits perfectly in it, so I don't need to put it in the oven just yet. So I'm going to use that as my template, okay, because I'm going to build this up and leave it to prove again. So these rolls will expand even further, but I don't want them to expand to such a point that the hole becomes too small. So I've got my baking tray here, so I'm just going to move my balls to one side. So there's my baking tray. If you know me, you know that I always keep my butter wrappings because it's brilliant if you need to grease any dishes. And this week we had some garlic bread and it had wrappers on it. So as this is a garlic and herb bread, this is perfect to just grease my baking tray with. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. I'm going to put some around the ring as well. I'm just going to grease my ring, just so it doesn't stick to it. Okay. That will sort of get in the way a little bit, but you won't notice it if I'm honest. Okay, so pop that there. Okay, I might do the biggest side that way. There we go, so pop it down there. And all I'm going to do is place the balls around. Yeah. Move them in. As I said, it is going to expand as the dough proves again for the second time, so it doesn't have to fit perfectly tight at this stage. Okay. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to leave that again for another hour. I'm going to cover it. I've got a big bag that I use, which I bought from Amazon. Sorry if I was eating it again when it doesn't need to. I bought on Amazon a huge bag. I think it's a quilt bag, but it's perfect because I can put my bread in it, and I use some pepper pots to give it height, so as the bread expands it doesn't touch it, and it's just amazing. If you haven't got that, don't worry, just leave it to the side, and it should still prove on its own, so you don't need to necessarily cover it. Okay, so I'm going to put this one side and we'll see how much bigger it grows in the next hour or so. Hi, right, shall we go back and see what my bread looks like? I just want to show you how I've had it. You know, I mentioned earlier that I put it into a big bag and then I use my salt and pepper pots to hold it up. I'm just going to show you what that looks like. So if you look over here now, there we go. Okay, so as you can see, it's just a giant bag, and if I unravel it, da, 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 there's my salt and there's my pepper pot, and it's stopping it from touching and allowing it to rise. There we go, can you see? So I'm just going to take this out now, so just bear with me. Right, so as you can see, it's risen again from its second proof. And I've just sort of pushed it in a little bit on the sides because it had sort of grown over the dish, well, the baking tray rather than the dish. So this just now needs to go into the oven. Now, a top tip, if you want to have a crusty outer loaf, but you still want the inside to be sort of spongy, pop a tray of water into the bottom of your oven and then put your bread on top on the next shelf up. That way the steam actually causes the bread to form a crust. And that's a Poor Hollywood tip there for you. So Paul, thank you for that. And as it's Poor Hollywood bread, I think that's only perfect. I share that with you too. So now I'm going to pop this in the oven. Now it says on the box to cook it for 20 to 25 minutes. So I'm going to do that and let's see what happens. Hi, well, it's out of the oven and I don't know if you can see that. It does smell amazing. If I can just show you from here. There you go. Oops. Okay. So, a good tip, if you're not sure if it's cooked, is if you tip it upside down, you tap it, it should sound hollow. And that's the way of finding out if your bread is cooked. With this, you have to be very careful because I don't want it to break. I know it's a tear and share loaf, but I'd like it to be whole from when my friends get it. So I'm now going to leave that to cool, and I will just warm it slightly before my friends want to eat it. As I said, I'm having it with Camembert, so I'll show you a photo of that just before I serve it. And so hopefully that's given you a bit of inspiration that rather than just buying a loaf of bread from the supermarket, you can just quickly make one. And when I say quickly, I know you have to prove it for a few hours, I know you have to knead it for 10 minutes, but if you think about the actual time you spend cooking or actually physically having to do something, it's not that long. And to have the smell of fresh bread in your house is just amazing, and especially when it's got garlic in it like this. I do Port Hollywood breads all the time, and I like to experiment and add flavours. So sometimes I'll add sun-dried tomatoes, sometimes onions, cheese, sometimes olives. Just have a play around really, but it's just so nice to have fresh bread around, especially when the summer's here and you're doing your salads and your barbecues. So if you're a bit worried, then do what I did today and buy the box, the packets ready-made, that you just actually add whatever ingredients they tell you to add last minute. I've never done that before, this is the first time I've ever tried this, and I can't wait to try the bread, and I trust Paul 100%. But it is very easy just to do it yourself. It's usually about 500 grams of bread flour, a packet of yeast, 40 grams of oil or 40 millilitres of oil, 10 grams of salt, water to bind, knead for 10 minutes, rest until it proves first time for about an hour, depending on the room temperature. Knead it again, get the air out of it, and then put it to one side again in the container you want to cook it in, and then cook it. And that is simply how quickly bread is. And if I get a chance, I'll put some videos of different types of breads when I do them for you, but there's just a bit of an inspiration for you to try. So happy cooking, and please subscribe to my channel and click notifications so that you see all the things that come up on my channel. And hopefully you would have seen at the moment as well, I've also got a Ready Steady Let's Cook Slim challenge going on. So if you'd like to be involved in that, please click on my website so that you get all my links, and then you can also put your comments as to what's going to be in your virtual shopping bag. Okay, see you soon.